Facebook announced that over 1 billion people use their chat app Messenger every month. That makes it the most popular app on iOS ever, except, of course, for the Facebook app itself, which lays claim to 1.5 billion monthly users. According to TechCrunch, we send 17 billion photos, 1 billion messages, 380 million stickers, 22 million GIFs, and 10% of all VoIP calls using Facebook Messenger. Facebook also owns WhatsApp, another member of the 3 Comma Club when it comes to monthly users. Now, just in the last 20 months, Messenger has doubled its user count, and you, Ian, have some strong opinions on how they've gone about doing that. Discuss.
Well, what they've done is develop Nagware to a way that makes the Windows 10 updates look like positively polite invitations. Now, I don't actually have the Facebook app on my phone because I don't have a pressing need to discover whenever someone's posted up a new kitten picture. And I certainly don't have Messenger on my phone because ever since they split the Messenger app off from the Facebook app, they've been getting increasingly pushy about making sure people use it. Now, for people like myself that just use the mobile web page, if it used to be the case about a year ago, they started, if you got a message and you pressed on the screen to open the message, you get a little screen saying, would you like to install Messenger? It can do this and this and this, and not mentioning the terms and conditions were pretty grim and it owned pretty much all of your data, not to mention the battery life issues. And then about 6 months ago, if you had a message and pressed on the screen, then you get this reminder screen. You click on it to get rid of it. And then you click on the message again, and then you get another reminder screen just in case you've suffered a team mal episode or something and forgotten about the fact that this Messenger product was out there. And then they finally lowered the bar a couple of months ago and said you cannot read messages from your mobile web client unless you've got Messenger installed. So all this, it's so popular, it's so great. I suspect a large proportion of this billion people who are using it not because they particularly want to, but because they have to. And it's just become so irritating not having it and not being able to use the web client. They just think, oh, what the hell, we'll just download it. It'll make Zuckerberg happy, and at last I can use this for messaging. I know a few people who love it, but I suspect certainly in the last few months, this big increase in the number of people using it hasn't been down to choice, but more just to, got to get my messages somehow. I can't wait until I get back to a computer. May as well download the app. It's not really a great sales strategy in my mind.
No, it's not. I mean, I use it weirdly, mostly because that's the way I can communicate with Leo. Like, for some reason, all the other channels that he has are clogged up in some way. But that's the one that he answers me most to. So that's the only reason I use it. I mean, I have a handful of friends that use it, but a lot of friends who just don't. And I don't love it. I mean, I was trying to think when you were talking, like, is there a messaging client I love? And I think the closest is just Messages on my iPhone. And I don't know why that I wouldn't. There's nothing in particular about it. It's just, it just works. So
yeah, no. I mean, I can sympathize in that, at least you've got Messages on iOS is actually a pretty good platform. The messaging system on Android is a bloody mess at the moment. And it just sort of, they're constantly changing it. It's a pain in the backside. I mean, I quite like Twitter because it's, the messages get through. It's people generally check their Twitter feeds fairly regularly. But then I am kind of an old-fashioned guy, and so when it comes to mainstream communication, then email is the way. It's very 1980s, I know, but it's the way I was brought up.
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe because we message each other through Twitter. That's the way. But I sometimes think that it's not the same as, it doesn't have the same sort of thread history as Twitter doesn't have the same sort of thread history as email is. I think sometimes things get lost. It's not so easy to see the conversations that we'd had previously. Do you find that?
Yeah, that's true. Email isn't particularly good at that. And I do like the sort of the threading scheme of it. On the other hand, email is slightly more versatile in that it's much easier to attach stuff, to send additional documents and that sort of thing. And it's a base spec service. I mean, hell, I still use SMS, which makes me seem like a dinosaur these days, but it's a perfectly good system. As long as you can get your message into 140 characters, then Bob's your uncle.
Exactly. And we've heard a lot about Messenger. There's going to be bots. They're going to be working with corporations. But in this whole press release that they released today, Messenger Chief David Marcus said they're not under any pressure to monetize it at the moment, which makes sense. I mean, they're Facebook. They have they have so many other avenues for monetization. But I do think businesses and bots are on the way. And even though they're not under any pressure, I think the bottom line is always there. So I think monetization to Messenger is on the way. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, and in fact they are monetizing it just indirectly. I mean, there's tremendous the reason why for Facebook split this off. Microsoft, they're another pushy software vendor. The reason why this was split off was because it gives them direct control over the messaging function. It ties people more closely into the platform. It gives them another thing to sell to advertisers. So they're monetizing it indirectly. I mean, whether or not they're going to start showing ads in there at some later point when they decide they need more money, then possibly so. I noticed in that statement it was just like not doing it yet, and you're like, yeah, okay, that doesn't exactly fill me with reassurance. It's kind of like if you ask a partner if they're faithful, and you say, oh yes, at the moment, it's just like that's not a reassuring answer.
Exactly.